Hello, my name is Dr. Henry Silverman, and in this presentation, I would like to address a framework for health promotion based on a concept of social justice. If you poll individuals on their thoughts regarding the extent with which poor individuals living in an inner-city neighborhood have a choice, based on their free will, to lead a healthy lifestyle that would avoid becoming obese, you would obtain results such as shown in this slide. As we can see, a large majority believe that there is minimal or only some extent of choice to lead healthy lives. Based on these results, instead of asking the question, what is the etiology of obesity? Such results will lead us to ask a more important question. What are the influences on human behavior that lead to obesity? If we know the answer to this question, then public health actions to curb the obesity epidemic will be more informed. There are a variety of approaches that public health can use to enhance health by changing individual behaviors. On one hand, one can follow the traditional public health approach that targets individual risk factors, or a modern approach that targets societal determinants of health and norms of behavior. The former tends to be focused more on individualistic choices, and the latter more on societal structures that influence choices. Regarding the individual level, one could provide educational programs, food labeling, directed advertising, nudges approaches that include making healthier foods more visually available in a school cafeteria, and then one can institute paternalistic measures such as taxes. All except the last coercive approach, these individualistic approaches have not demonstrated much success. In general, there are ethical deficiencies of a focus on individual choice, and these include the following. Assignment of responsibility to individual choice facilitates stigma. It is ineffective as it ignores social determinants or variables that affect choice. And expending scarce public health resources on interventions that won't work is simply not justifiable. What about the environment? For example, one can build playgrounds and also make available supermarkets that sell healthier foods at affordable prices. However, even these measures have shown to lack effectiveness. This slide shows the results of a study that obtained data from a longitudinal study of adolescent health and examined cross-sectional associations between neighborhood fast food availability and self-report fast food consumption frequency. The results show that fast food availability was not associated with weekly frequency of fast food consumption in non-urban or low or high density urban areas. Another study, shown in this slide, showed no consistent evidence that improved access to large supermarkets results in lower youth BMI. The vast array of factors affecting food intake and energy expenditure, as shown in this slide, and the numerous interactions between them challenge the notion of individual free will regarding food choices and energy expenditure. Indeed, many things that individuals do are influenced by factors upstream rather than at the individual level. Societal policies and processes operating within and across a range of different settings and sectors influence individual diet and activity patterns, and hence population weight status. Interventions aimed at improving individual lifestyles, when conducted in isolation of societal intervention, tend to have limited success. They are most effective in motivating the socially advantaged who already have sufficient lifestyle options open to them. Over time, this may actually aggravate disparities between the more and less advantaged. Another way to present the same concept is to look at an ecological model of choice that takes into account the synergistic relationship of human behavior in their environment at multiple levels. Levels of influence can include individual, interpersonal relationships, community, and societal factors. And finally, we can present the same concept in this slide that shows the societal determinants of health, or the causes of the causes. Such determinants include income and property, access to social resources, and access to education, employment, and political factors. All of these factors determines one social position. This slide shows a pictorial representation of the social, economic, and political context of human behavior. As choices represent an interaction between individual risk factors and the determinants of health, we see that prevention or health promotion strategies requires complementary approaches. As first conceived by Amartya Sen, development is about removing the obstacles to what a person can be and do, and these include illiteracy, ill health, lack of access to resources, or lack of civil and political freedoms. Another concept is shown in the next series of slides that shows the effect of inequality per se on population health. In this slide, we see that health and social problems are worse in more unequal countries. And in fact, we see the United States at the top right-hand portion. This slide, comparing the gross national income with index of health and social problems, shows that neither health nor social problems are related to national income per head. This slide shows that people in more unequal countries trust each other less, and here we have the United States. This slide shows mental illness is more common in more unequal societies. Again, the United States is at the top right-hand portion. And social mobility is lower in countries that have more inequalities. And here we have the U.S. in the bottom right. In summary, bigger income gaps lead to deteriorations in social relations, health, and human capital. These data drive home the point regarding the ineffectiveness of paternalistic measures to approach the obesity epidemic. As articulated by Buchanan, interest in restricting individual autonomy to promote public health is largely misguided both ethically and empirically. Individuals with the least amount of control over their environment have the poorest health. Public health should expand individual autonomy, not restrict it. One should enhance autonomy by addressing inequities in the social determinants of health. As such, social inequalities lead to individual deficits in functionings. Functionings represents the freedom to be who you want to be and to do the things that you want to do. In order to be and to do, one needs a set of capabilities, which reflects a person's ability to do valuable acts and reach valuable states of being. Capabilities include access to education, access to jobs and opportunities, and access to civil and political rights. Also, social inequalities lead to health inequalities. So how to address social inequity? One should focus on empowerment. A top-down approach represents approaches that address the individual level. A bottoms-up approach would entail empowering the community to effect the changes they need. One example of a bottoms-up approach was reflected by the AIDS movement in the 1990s. Essentially, we want a combination of individual agency and community involvement. Individual agency that relies on community cohesiveness is a form of relational freedom. It involves a civic life of shared purposes, and this so-called relational personhood reflects personal flourishing that is inextricably linked to the flourishing of others. This is so-called social capital, a characteristic of communities stemming from the structure of social relationship that facilitates the achievement of individual shared goals. This involves social networks, which reflects a concept of social cohesion, connectiveness, togetherness among members of a community to intervene on behalf of the common good of that community. This is the concept of shared norms that facilitate behavior. So, for example, if a shared norm is one that involves eating fatty food in a fast food restaurant, essentially it's going to be difficult for the individual to go against such a shared norm that influence unhealthy behaviors. As such, public health must identify and interpret for society changes in patterns of disease and risk that are not analytically reducible to individual behavior, but have systemic properties that come from structures of interpersonal relationships. public health must strive to bring about change at both the level of individual behavior and social norms and social institutions. As such, the job of public health should include addressing inequities in health by focusing on the causes of the causes, which include inequities in social environments. This is an issue of social justice. Thank you very much.